Okay, fine. Um, yes, so this is the demo 3 because we started on 16, 16, 17, 18. So demo 3. And however, you might have now know about the course details and all, right? So let me directly jump to the concept like what we discussed yesterday. We discussed yesterday the concept like the DevOps tools we will use throughout this course, and also the um, architecture, whatever the architecture we're gonna implement, that is what we have seen yesterday, isn't it? So the architecture in the sense, let me just open the DevOps course content. So there I have drafted an architecture. So that architecture is what we will implement with all these tools, and then the uh, uh, tools and then frameworks or the technologies what we discussed yesterday. By using all those things, we will implement this. This is what we're gonna implement, right? So what is an outcome? What is an outcome of this course? being a being a DevOps engineer, you will be able to do a complete CI/CD pipeline setup on your own, right? And also you will get a knowledge equivalent to the 5+ years of experienced guy who having now the DevOps experience, 5+ years of experience. How the person will be, you also will be like on the same confidence, same level of experience if you really practice well, if you really utilize these sessions. Okay, how it will be possible that he is having the experience of 5 years? See, experience is different, knowledge is different. I'm talking about the knowledge that you will get equivalent to the 5+ years of experienced knowledge guy. So experience is different, knowledge is different. Though he may have the 5+ years of experience on this DevOps, he might not got the chance to work on Kubernetes in these last 3 years. He might not got the chance to work on the Docker in these last 2 years, probably. But you know Docker Kubernetes very well. That makes you guys both are same at the level, isn't it? That is what I'm talking about. However, let us go and then also see the AWS, what we're gonna cover from the AWS point of view. So let me see the AWS course content and then what we cover in this AWS. So let me showcase you the production architecture. This is what the production architecture. So this production architecture completely we will implement using the first we will implement it using the AWS management console. Then the same production architecture we will implement using the Terraform, right? So that means Terraform we will use to automate this VPCs creation and then the machines, EC2 machines creation and all. Okay, but let us first see what are all the services that we are covering here. I will write the services in a step-by-step relative manner, just focus on it. So what we will do, assume that we have an application, isn't it? This application, probably if you can see here, I might have stopped it, uh, but you can see, I might have stopped it. Assume this is one application which contains, products, customers, orders, sales report, and all, right? Similarly, we may have the here we can see the customers are there. Right now, I stopped this application. Just let me quickly start this application. Just uh, out of curiosity, just to showcase you like what is meaning of project in my opinion, right? So let me just quickly run this application just in case to showcase what is the meaning of application and how it will be comparable to our production architecture is just I would like to explain you. Give me a moment till this application will start. Yes, the application seems to be started on the port number 8080. Let me log out and then let me logged in as a super admin user. Just I will showcase what is the meaning of application, because I will use the word called application every time. So application is nothing but just your Google, Gmail, and just Facebook application like that. This is also one of the application. Shopify Me, we Shopify is one of the application. So let me log in as a super admin. See, I'm logging as a super admin. That means this user is already registered. Carefully observed. User is already registered in the database. Now let us remember carefully. Super admin user is now logging to this application, meaning this user is already there in the database. So database is what we have to use, right? That database should be inserted with the users that gonna created by the admin or super admin, right? However, now the users are accessing the application. See, I'm accessing the application. Now the problem is this is in my local host. That means this is within my machine only. If you want to access, you can't access, right? This
Uh,
is within my
N-
machine.
Narsi, I have one small question here. Sorry to disturb you. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. See, the users would be creating at the AD level or at the database level.
Here in this application, we are not using AD actually. So if there will be a IAM solution, identity and access management, then the users will be created in the AD. Ideally, the users are supposed to be created in the AD only in enterprise applications. But here in this application, we are not using AD, we are using the database.
Okay, identity manager means ID for IDM applications. There we
Correct,
need to assign policies, right, for the each
correct,
user.
correct. Yes.
Okay, got it.
Fine. So now if you can see, as soon as I have been logged in as a super admin, here we have the modules like your Facebook and Gmail. This is one of the application. Why I'm showing you now here is
As a responsibility, this also comes under DevOps engineer only.
automation. This project need to be automatically deployed into the infrastructure when the developers will done any source code changes. For example, I have done some source code change here, or I just introduced one feature. Let's say right now it is the categories, brands, products, and orders, right? Tracking is not there. Assume tracking is the new module we have introduced. So developers who have written the code and developers pushed the code to the source code repository. Then automatically within next 5 to 10 minutes of time, the, the tracking should be available to the end customers, end users. That is what the CI/CD. So CI/CD needs to be done by the DevOps engineers, isn't it? Whereas this entire application is going to be deployed in this infrastructure, whatever the infrastructure I'm now showcasing. Got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you can see, we are accessing the application. So application is using the database. That means everything now we have to move from my laptop to the cloud. So in order to move from my laptop to cloud, let us understand what we need to do first, isn't it? So in my laptop, I have the application. So what we can do now, for example, in my laptop, I have installed the database called MySQL, where this MySQL database is using by that application. Just let me log in. So this is the database I'm now using. This database is in my computer. You cannot access it, isn't it? But what our target is to move everything to the cloud. So what we have to do, cloud database is what we have to do. And then whatever the application now you are looking here, it is running in my machine with the local host. Rather, it should be also accessed by you as well over the cloud. For that, we have to deploy it in the cloud platform. So to deploy this in the cloud platform, we need an infrastructure. That infrastructure we will set up here, right? So what we need first of all to deploy this application. Okay, first let us observe what we need to deploy this application on the cloud. Number one, database we need. Number two, virtual machine we need, right? Number two, virtual machine we need. Virtual machine meaning computer like my laptop. You are looking at my laptop, right? My laptop, I have installed the database, I have installed the application, and it is running fine. Similarly, my laptop, we also required one virtual machine in the cloud, or similar to my laptop, we need one more computer in the cloud, where in that computer, again, I have to install this database, or maybe I will connect it to the existing databases by running the application here, isn't it? Right? So what we want the database, and then we want the virtual machine, and we want the this application now running on the local host, but in reality we want it to be run on the, for example, vshopify-platform.com. So domain is required for us, isn't it? So you are accessing facebook.com, gmail.com, gdrive.google.com, or gdrive.gmail.com. That means what? You are accessing with some domain name system, DNS. Such a DNS we want to create and then host. Okay. So what we want? We want the DNS. DNS is for what actually? To access the application with the domain name rather than the IP addresses, or rather than this local host and all. We will use the DNS like facebook.com, gmail.com. Such DNS is what we want. And obviously in real time, this application
Yes, sir.
should have, yes.
Can you please explain virtual machine and DNS once?
Okay. Okay. Meaning it is not the time to go deeper dive into these concepts,
Okay.
but I'm just listing them. When time comes, we'll go deeper dive. Will go.
Okay. Okay.
Huh? DNS meaning domain. Just assume domain. Domain meaning like facebook.com, gmail.com. We will also register one DNS called vShopify. vShopify-platform.com. So this is one of the domain that we will register, and rather than accessing the application using the local host, what we will do, we will access the same application, right? But without the port number, we just give what? The vShopify-platform.com, isn't it? Now vShopify-platform.com should have to be registered, should have to be maintained. For that we will use the DNS, and we have a detailed topic, detailed service in AWS. When time comes, I'll explain. You focus on now what we need to do to make it available in the cloud. Okay, later in time, let us map these to the AWS cloud services what are there. Right now, what we want, if we made it as a production application, we want it to be run on the HTTPS, right? So SSL certificate is what we have to create. And then next to what? Application database is there. Application is running here. We need the DNS. We need the SSL certificate. Then what? We need the load balancer, correct? To balance the load. And then email service should be there, right? Because to send the emails, and then queue service is also there. For example, when the customers purchase the orders, right? What will happen? We usually do the billing, right? Payment will be deducted, but maybe the order might not confirmed yet. After couple of minutes, the order might get confirmed, isn't it? This might be happened when you are doing your IRCTC ticket booking, or your TSRTC APPSC ticket bookings, right? Payment will be deducted. Guys, can you please mute? Payment will be deducted, but the order might not be confirmed. That means what? We have to keep that order in the queue till the payment confirmation will get back. So queue services is required for us. So notification, email service, queue service, load balancer, SSL certificate, and all is what. And these are all the things we have to deploy very securely. That means the application should have to be accessed. Okay, application should have to be accessed only via the load balancer, not all. So let me construct the requirement now. Let me construct the requirement now. Okay, what is the requirement? Let me construct the requirement. What is the requirement? How this requirement we will be able to achieve using the AWS cloud platform, and what are the AWS cloud services that we're going to use, I'll explain now. Okay, now what is the requirement?
Narsi, like this infrastructure would be using for internet and intranet, both the things we will be using, right?
Internet, only internet, not intranet. Internet only, complete cloud, anywhere on
Mhm.
the globe we can access it, not
Okay, here,
internet. Mm,
thank you for clarifying things. See here, Q services, you said that.
correct.
See, for the banking applications or we will be using MQ for encryption, the all the secure data, like whatever the sensitive information is there, we will be between the handshake between the two servers, we will be storing that into messaging queues. Okay, that same functionality would be using the Q services.
Yeah, here we will use the same functionality, queue, in the sense what, in order to lose the data, right? To, for example, maybe application is down at this moment due to some issues, our payment gateway is down, or maybe some other system with which we are talking might be down, but the data should not be lost. Yes, the same purpose we are using here, just to persist the data and to avoid the data losses, we are using the queues here. Actually our use case here little different. I'll explain what that use case later in time, but yes, same concept.
Means the synchronized messages, asynchronous messages,
Correct,
and
correct.
those all the concepts will come here the same way.
Same way, yes. Q means same way, here the same way, yes.
So
Okay.
what tools will use, sir, there?
I'll explain those
Okay.
tools. I'll come to the that level. Okay, fine. So let me write the requirement first. So Shopify platform. Shopify platform is an e-commerce, e-commerce, e-commerce platform, e-commerce platform where we have the two applications, called front end and back end, front end and back end, front end and then back end, front office, back office, let us say. So front office and back office, so we have the two applications, front office and then the back office. Now what we need to do is, front office front office is an application where the users will be used, and back office is an application which will be used by only, only admin and then super admin, only admin and super admins, only admins and then super admins. Okay, now what we need to do, the requirement is, we have to make sure the front office and back office will be accessible over the internet securely, and and there should be a failover mechanism implemented, failover mechanism implemented implemented failover mechanism implemented with the enterprise standards, like messaging messaging queuing SSO, single sign on, and then the token security, etc. So this should be implemented, this should be deployed in the cloud, right? Make sure we want to access the front office, back office from anywhere over the globe on the internet, and there should be a failover mechanism should be implemented with the enterprise standards, like messaging queuing, SSO, token security, etc. Okay, now um,
Uh,
users
are these are configurable, or do we need to write, as a developer has to write some
no
program
no
for it?
no we are not, I'm now not talking in views of the developer. I'm now talking in views of the AWS engineer. So this is what a client requirement. Now being a AWS engineer, what we will do, where we will start, how we will do is, let us analysis. First, let us take the requirement.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yes. So end users will end users will access the application securely. End users will access the application securely, securely, and we should have a log of we should have a what is that? We should have a log of each and every customer transaction session, and should be able to see the application metrics for each and every customer session or end user sessions. Okay, so these are all what the requirements, and make sure DR, that means disaster recovery. Make sure disaster recovery environment also should configured also should be configured. Next, every 3 months, every 3 months, application every 3 months application should flip over the application should be flip over the um, flip over the uh, flip over the flip over the blue green deployment. Application should flip over the blue green deployment. Next, data that is storing the database should have to be replicate with the DR production systems, with the DR data systems as well. Okay, so this is what the customer requirement or client requirement, isn't it? So this is the requirement. Now, where
Disaster recovery means what they're going to do, sir?
I'll explain, because
Uh-huh.
I have written, so one after the other I will explain.
No
Yeah.
problem. No.
Yeah. So Shopify platform application is an e-commerce application which having the front office and then the back office. Now whatever you are looking at is the back office application. Similarly, there is a front office application as well. Just let me quickly run that front office application as well. Because why I'm telling all these things to you, being a AWS engineer or being a DevOps engineer, where you will start first, application understanding, business understanding is very, very important. What is that application is now currently, right? How we can access that application, or what is the current state of the application, we must have to know before we are taking a thought of migrating it to the cloud, isn't it? We have to know in and outs first. However, now let me go and then access the front office application, which is on the localhost 8001. So just let me access this front office application. It is on the 8081 /Shopify or shop. Okay, so this is what a front office application. That means shipping and then delivery can be seen. And once we logged in, for example, let me logged in as a super admin here, and then the password is admin. Just let me log in. However, somehow I'm not able to log in here. Just let me log in. Yeah, somehow I'm not able to log in here. Just to quickly, this is what its database is. So in this database, we have the customers. Let me just check what is this customer name is. I didn't remember the password. what I will do is just let me go and then update the password with the admin as the password. Okay, so just let me copy this password. Why all these things are required to you? Not required, 100% not required. I'm just trying to showcasing you the application which we gonna automate or which we gonna deploy in the cloud using this AWS infrastructure. So this is what my email. Now let me log in with the username and then password. See, now I have logged in. See this, I can see my orders, I can see my review, I can see the shipping and then delivery details and all I can see. And I can see the returns and my refund statuses as well. I can add something to the cart, right? So I can see my orders. I have not ordered anything, and my reviews and then questions that I have any related to any product or anything. And then this is what my address book, right? And then this is what my payments. I have not done any payment yet, as I have not booked any shipping and delivery is not happening. And this is what my contact information, returns and then refunds are not happening, not there, data is not there. However, a customer in the sense, for example, you are using Amazon, you are using the, what is that, Flipkart, right? So you are called as a customer. You have an account in your Flipkart and then you will be logged in. Similarly, this user also have an account in our ShopMe application. I have been logged in. Okay, where I can track my orders, where I can review my orders, where I can see my questions, where I can see my delivery status, shipping and then item delivery status, and then where I can see my payments and all. Of course, this carriers also there, which should not be displayed, but this application is showing here, which is not required here actually. However, this is what the application is. If you want, we can go and then add a address and all, and orders will be shown here. Whatever the orders that we will place, those orders will be shown here. Of course, this user don't have the proper role. That is the reason placing order is not came here. But if we have the proper role, then I can place an order here as well. However, you can understand that this is the end users application, and the other one is the only administrators or the super admins will be used. And then here we will do a setup actually. If you can see what is the country, what is the site logo, and payment also, what is the payment URL and all, and we mail server details, mail templates details and all. And also, for example, if we take one product, for one product, what is the price that we need to set up, right? So what is the shipping price, what is the length, the width, the height, and how many, how to make it as a price. So all these things will be taken care by the, meaning doing by the back office team, so that when this product will be listable for us in the UI, we can see the product weight and its dimensions along with its cost as well, isn't it? So this is what the application that we need to automate. Now, how do we automate it? One thing is what this code we will keep in the source code repository. So I already have the source code repository here. So we will keep the code is there in the source code repository. Then what we will do from that source code repository? So the code is here in my source code repository. So what we will do, the code is there in the source code repository. What we will do with that code? Number one, we will do the automation, CI/CD pipeline. Automation to what? We need to deploy it in the Kubernetes architecture. Where is this Kubernetes architecture? This Kubernetes architecture is inside this cloud. Now, coming to the cloud, what we gonna cover, meaning what we gonna see. Number one, first thing is what, number one, who can access this cloud? So that users we have to create in the identity and then access management. So the very first service that we will cover is the IAM, identity and then access services. In this security, identity and then access management. So this is what the first service that we will discuss, very important for the cloud practitioner examination and then the cloud solution architect associate examination, very important. So first we'll cover this IAM service. In IAM service, what we'll cover? We'll cover a lot. For example, just let me uh, go and then showcase you the detailed content of it. Usually I'll prepare the notes like this. This is the IAM notes. Day-to-day notes will be prepared in front of you. So with the neat screenshots and all. So what will be covered in this IAM? User creation, security credentials, multi-factor authentication, credentials report, user groups, roles creation, access policies, and then the permissions, and then the case studies, and then the use cases. So this is what the first IAM service that we will cover. See this, how to create a user, right? So how to create aliases, see how we can create a user, right? So step-by-step approach we are giving. I have created Shopify admin. Why we are creating this users are? Why IAM is required? Why we are creating that user? So if you can see two types actually. Now, I have been logged in here as Narsi. I'm not the IAM user. I don't need to be an IAM user. I'm a database user or LDAP user. But why this IAM is required for us? What is this IAM will do here? Right? We will discuss when we started. But the first service that we will start is what? IAM, identity and then access management. So I have written a overall overview of the concept what we have covered. But when we go to the handouts, in-depth concepts I have listed out step by step, like policies and all. Okay, so once after the user is created in the IAM, that user is the owner of this cluster now. That user is the owner of this cloud, owner of this cluster. That means that user only able to create this VPC, only able to create this worker missions, only able to create this Route 53 certificates and all, and DNS registration center, right? So cluster owner is what we have to create first. For that, we will use a service called identity and then access management. Once after this is done, then what we will do is we will create a secured cloud. Private cloud will prepare. So what is private cloud? What is hybrid cloud? So cloud deployment models we will discuss in our module 1. This is the module 1 where we will discuss a lot about the cloud computing, how to understand this AWS, what is cloud computing, what is cloud platform, what is data center, why we need to use the cloud platforms, as the data centers were there since longer time, and most of the members were use the data centers even till the 2017. But nowadays the era changed. Everyone is using the cloud platform. Why we need to go to there? And what are the cloud models? What are the cloud types? What are the features of the cloud? What are the disadvantages of the cloud? So this entire concept is the cloud practitioner certification examination concept. We must have to go through it. Okay, this is the model 1. So in this module 1, you will understand what is private cloud, what is public cloud, what is hybrid cloud, what is mixed cloud, and what is the cloud that we are creating. We are creating the hybrid cloud, which contains the private cloud, which contains the public cloud as well. So after the IAM is done, then we will create the VPC, virtual private cloud. Very important. If you are a AWS engineer or a DevOps engineer with the AWS as your experience, you don't know VPC, in my opinion, you are not an AWS engineer. I never look at your resume as even. I just throw it away, the resume. If you, for example, if I ask you, what is VPC peering? Or what is piercing? What is VPC peering, if I ask you? Or what is subnet? What is internet gateway? What is the use of NAT gateway? What is address translation meaning? And how the private cloud will talk to public cloud? If I ask these questions in the interview, if you says, I don't know VPC, I have not worked on VPC, this is bullshit. There is no question of not working on VPC, being a AWS engineer or DevOps engineer, to be honestly, if you have a real experience. So Very, very important, this VPC. Very tough concept, very important as well. So immediately after completing this IAM service, what I will do is I will start this VPC. So the benefit that we will get is our intention is to build a private cloud, meaning more securely we thought to deploy our applications. So assume I have created a cloud owner, cloud super admin or admin I have created. That user is the responsible person for creating the that user is a responsible person for creating the cloud. Now this is what the benefit that we will get. See this. See this. What we will do, we will create this VPC. In this VPC, there is a concept called availability zones and then the regions. So availability zone. In availability zone, there is a public subnet, there is a private subnet. Again, there is a public subnet, again, there is a private subnet. Each and every VPC should have to be built with minimum 2 availability zones. Now, one application is deployed in this private subnet. Same application also deployed in this private subnet. So how the one time should have to go here and then how the next request will go here via the load balancer. However, I will explain. Now, if you can see this in the private subnet, only our applications will be there. And if it is in the private subnet, we can't access our application like over the web, like internet. Then in order to access them over the internet, we have to use the address translation called NAT gateway. Okay, however, these concepts I'll explain later in time, but what I mean to say is if you want to deploy the applications very securely, then we have to build the hybrid cloud, like public cloud and then the private cloud. Such private cloud we will build using this concept of VPC. So once after immediately we done the IAM, because the IAM admin, right, identity and access management admin only can be able to create these VPCs. So that is the reason first we have to complete this IAM concept and then we have to come to this VPC. So in this VPC, we will discuss about the networking and all. For example, in this VPC, we'll talk about what is VPC and what is availability zone, what is public subnet, what is private subnet, what is the network CIDR blocks, what is this address translation, what is the NAT gateway, what is the default gateway, how we can take the our custom gateway. All these things we will discuss in this VPC. See this default and then node fault VPC, VPC networking, security groups, DNS and then DHCP options, VPC peering, subnet, very important subnets, and then VPC internet gateway, elastic IP address and network interfaces, VPC integration, NAT instance in a VPC, and then configuring web application in VPC and pricing for VPC. Finally, what we will do, we will create this VPC. Finally, this VPC we will create, and then in this VPC, we'll take one EC2 instance, and then we will deploy the application. Now, once after we done this setup, it is time to learn the EC2. So because the setup is done, the infrastructure setup is there. Now we have to take a virtual machine, like your computer, my computer, and we have to take now a virtual machine. In that virtual machine, we have to deploy the application. Application meaning the one what you have seen here, isn't it? So now we have to know about the EC2 to deploy the application. So if we can go the next concept, the next concept is, of course, networking is what I have given here. Networking is also very important as part of the VPC only. We will study this, not separately. Here, there is a concept called elastic IPs and then static IPs, which we will be used in our DevOps later time. Very important. However, the next is what the EC2 machine. What is virtual machine? What is EC2 machine? What is a server? And what is this EC2 features? Right? How the EC2 will be manageable in the infrastructure, EC2 dashboard, pricing, and then instance life cycle, start, stop, or terminate the machine, and then install the machines in the public and then private subnets. This is very important. This concept is exactly required for us now to keep the mission, in this VPC. So keep the mission in this, keep the mission, whatever the mission in this VPC availability zone, that is the private subnet. We must have to know about this EC2 and then subnets. EC2 should have to be set up in the private subnets only. So this is what exactly we want now, to install instance in public and then private subnet. Then what is security keys? What is security group, right? And EC2 classes and the VPC security groups, very, very important. Managing elastic IPs, because elastic IPs we will use later on time in the our DevOps CI/CD pipeline. So what is the pricing for the EC2, right? And EC2 with Amazon command line interface. Even with the command line interface also we can access this EC2. Later in time, these EC2 machines we will create with the Terraform. That means whatever the infrastructure that I have taken here, isn't it? This entire infrastructure will create using Terraform, and also this EC2 machines will create using Terraform later in time when complete automation will come. But as we are now with the very baby steps, we should have to first know about how the console is, what we can do within the console. First, we have to have a thorough experience on the console. Then we will think about how we can do, rather than going to the AWS console and then creating this VPC by using the button clicks doesn't help us in the automation, isn't it? Our intention is complete automation is what we have to do. So that infrastructure automation we can do using the Terraform, but I'll explain that later in time. Okay, now EC2 is there. And then what else we want next? Now private subnet is there, and then public subnet is there, EC2 is there. Now it's time to deploy the application in this EC2 machine, isn't it? But that application requires a database first. Okay, and the EC2 machine with the elastic block storage, very, very important. Very, very important. Whatever the machine we are now taking, this machine should be with the hard disk, isn't it? Usually when you purchase the laptop or your computer, what you will see? You will see the hard disk. When you purchase the mobile, what you will see? You will see it's a storage, maximum capacity, like how much it can store the data, isn't it? So like that, virtual machines also will be attached with the volumes. If you can see, always the virtual machines will be like this. They are just like computer boxes, right? But the volume required for them, we will be attached from an external source that is called as an EBS. So how much memory required for our EC2 instance? For example, 8 GB or 16 GB or 100 GB or 1 TB, how much we want? That we can get from this EBS, elastic block storage. The advantage of it, if the machine is corrupted or machine is, stopped or destructed or corrupted or whatever it is, still the data is there in our volume. Data is there in our block storage, right? It is like your aeroplane. There is a black box, right? Cockpit and then black box. It is similar to that, meaning which will be act as a storage mechanism, storage device to this virtual machine. Though the virtual machine will be corrupted or crashed or maybe down, still we can see the data of it in this volume. So we can attach this volume or attach this device to another VM, then we can recover the data. That is what a very important concept I have given in the course content, that is snapshots. Amazon EBS snapshots, right? Hope you are following me, isn't it? So maybe these terms might little new for you, but if you want to do the real time, we have to do all these things. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. However, so once we discuss this EBS and then EC2, we will get a complete mission now, isn't it? So if we discuss this EBS and then EC2 together, then we will get a complete mission now. The complete mission now with the more memory is what we got now. If you can go here, yes, this complete mission now. Then what we want? We have to set up a load balancer. Why we need to set up load balancer? because once the application is deployed here and then application is deployed here, what will happen? One time, first of all, two things you need to understand here. Application, if we deploy it here, will it be able to access by the end customers directly? No, because this is in the private cloud. Then we have to make it to be accessible. Then what we need to do, this private subnet machine, EC2 machine, is pulling into the public subnet by using the NAT gateway. So this NAT gateway now created the address. For that address, we will attach the LB, load balancers. So that load balancer now will balance the incoming request. Let's say these users are trying to accessing our application by calling this URL. Maybe one time the request go to the application running in this machine. Maybe another time it will go to this machine. This machine or this machine, both will use the same database. Both will use the same database. That is the reason. For example, a customer is created here, or for example, a customer is placed an order. If we can go to this, go to this, yeah, go to here. Assume we have created a category. Just we have created a category. So now the category is required later in time to create the brands, and this brand is required later for creating the products. We can see what is the category, what is the brand, right? So we have to use this brand category in the product later in time. That means what? That means what? If the assume, that means what? If the category is created by the application running in this machine, and next request is came to create the brand is came here. So when brand is trying to pull the categories details like this, right? So when the brand is trying to creating, it required this categories information here. So when the brand is trying to get the categories, the brand should have to be listed out with the categories, isn't it? But the categories created by the application running in this instance, that categories are available to the application running in this instance as well. That means what? The data between the two application instances have been replicated. What is replication? Where it is replicated? How it is replicated? We'll discuss later in time. But just understand the concept. So load balancer is required to balance the load on the application. Okay. However, what we will do, assume there is a big billions day sale is started, or maybe the Amazon festival season is started. Then what will happen? More traffic will come to our application, isn't it? More traffic will come to our application. When more traffic will come to our application, right now we have the two instances only. So more traffic will come, we have to, increase the instances dynamically, no manual intervention. So we have to increase the instances dynamically, no manual intervention, right? When this CPU reaches, guys, let me plug in my charger. Okay, so automatically this EC2 instances should have to be create, and then should have to be ready to take the requests that are coming to this. For example, more number of requests are coming here. Its a CPU is used 80%. Immediately, one more EC2 instance should have to be start, right? By just taking the load to here, so that 40% load is biased here and then 40% here. So now it is good enough to handle the even more 40%, meaning 50% of the load we have been shifted to another one, isn't it? These are the metrics category, metrics and all I'll explain later in time. That means what we have done, we have enabled the auto scaling. So load balancer and then the auto scaling, load balancer with the auto scaling. So there is auto scaling also. Auto scaling also I have added. I think this auto scaling I have taken inside this management governance section, because in your AWS management console, when you log in, it will be there itself only. However, that's all for today, and tomorrow I'll explain more more AWS services that we're going to cover during our course. Okay, it is a interlinkage services. We are using service, meaning definitely there is some purpose to automate the infrastructure or set up the infrastructure to deploy our e-commerce application. That's all for today, folks. This is demo 3. I'll meet you in demo 4, demo 5 as well. Friday is the last demo. Okay, thank you so much. Any questions for me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Narsi, I have one doubt.
Yes.
See, you said that auto scaling about the load, whatever the load we are getting to the servers, it would be in automatically we will be creating one more instances.
Correct.
See, if the load decreases,
it will be reduced. It will be gone. It will be stop actually, not terminated. It will be stop. Machine will be stop automatically.
okay.
That is how
See,
we will write.
yeah, suppose we are doing some DR test, okay, and we want to route the request to the particular only private cloud only. See, I say private cloud 1 and 2 is there. I don't want to route the request to the P2. I want to route only the request to the P1. I want to make a DR activity on P1. Then there is a specific configuration file for this where we can route only to the whatever the private cloud 1. We can route the, all the.
No. Actually, what we can do in the load balancer level, we can write a script. We can write a script. So that script will analyze which EC2 instance we would like to go for. For example, we said DR. So DR, maybe always DR will be in the different zone, different availability zones. However, when we take the machines in the DR, it will be automatically route back to there. So at the load balancer level, we can do such configurations that are possible.
Yeah, it's not about the DR. It's about the we have the private clouds 1 and 2. Okay, here those would be in horizontal or vertical, whatever the clustering we have in the AWS. Okay, suppose I said that private cloud 1, I want to take all the requested and I want to take private cloud 2 as a maintenance. Okay, and move all the requests because we have the load balancing concepts in the application server like that. We have the same concepts here, like
same
where
concept.
we can.
Same, whatever you are talking is blue-green deployment. Let us say this is the blue deployment now. This is the green deployment now, which is serving currently. Assume we want to serve now the blue deployment, not green zone. So then the blue will be served. We want to serve the green, then green will be served. So either to go to the blue, either to go to the green, we will define in the LB.
Okay, at the LB, okay, LB only.
Yes. Okay.
We will be using any web servers for this?
Yeah, we will be used, not web servers actually. The web servers in the sense you mean to say kind of an Nginx, right?
Yeah, whatever, because we have in the IBM, we have different web servers. Maybe name would be a different or the tool would be different, but we are using the web servers for load balancing, right?
Actually, AWS is providing the direct load balancing facility to us. We don't need to use any external or extra web servers because AWS is having the 4 types of load balancers. Internally, it will use the Nginx. Internally, we don't need to worry about it. Internally, it using the web server called Nginx. We don't need to worry about it, but it will just give us the user interface where we can select whatever the type of the load balancer we want, and then we can configure it. So we don't need to manually go and then install any servers, do any certificate pinnings and all. Not required. Everything will be readily cooked in the AWS platform.
No, I mean you are meaning to
what
say
is the round robin? Sorry, what is the round robin method, or like any other method it is been using here?
Actually, round robin is what it is not using round robin. Rather than it will use round robin in the sense what equally load will be distributed. That means
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, but here it is not like that. It is based on the utilization, the usage of the instance. For example, this is now available or this is now currently serving a request. It will be shipped here based on the availability of the instance, based on the availability of the application. It will be do, but not round robin.
Okay.
So
Maybe
here
other
we
other
don't-
other other methodology it's been using.
Yeah, I'll discuss that actually. Yes, it is using some other one. So there is a concept of availability concepts, meaning server business. There is some concept. I'll explain that. That concept it will use. I'll explain.
these applications we need to use this, right? JBoss or Tomcat or WebLogic to use, right? We need to configure, right?
Actually, what we will do is these applications we will deploy. First thing in the these are microservices. First thing.
Okay.
So microservices meaning they are self-executable. So no need of having any external web server or application servers. That is the first point. And second point is there, we gonna deploy them in the Kubernetes cluster. So in Kubernetes cluster, this will be deployed as a container. Okay, so no need to install a external servers like JBoss, WebLogic and all. Fine.
Internally system you should understand, so without server how it will be managed actually. Internally the Kubernetes will take care about what server, what kind of server is that?
Correct.
That?
So these are all the web Tomcat it will. Not Kubernetes actually. Whatever the application now I have shown, right? So Java space -jar I run. So this is using the Tomcat. So
that is internally Spring Boot is giving that Tomcat server.
Correct.
But in the real-time production system point of view, they don't use the inbuilt Tomcat or something. It's a large servers they'll use, right? WebLogic or
no, WebLogic and all will be required when we are deploying the monolith applications, meaning a huge applications with the many modules. Each and every module is a var file, and then if those var files will be bundled as an EAR file, then that EAR need to be go to the application servers. Okay. Correct. But here what we will do, we will take the microservices. Each and every microservices will having their own server. Now what we will do, we will containerize this. That means this entire application will be containerized. That container will do, that container will start this process. So did you see this process ID?
Okay.
One process ID is created. So what will happen? That container will kickstart this process. So when the process will be kickstarted, then the server will get started. So that is the concept. However, let us also see one monolithic application deployment in the Tomcat 9 server.
Okay, sir. Because that differentiate, because some products will use the monolithic only, right? And applying the AWS also.
That's true. That is the reason we already have the lab guide. So our fourth project is saying what, Tomcat server we are using here.
Oh, externally in the AWS we need to configure, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So we have to install step by step. Already we have the lab guides, so we will do that.
Most of the time, this all would be for the microservices only, right?
Both
we
will use microservices and then the monolithic applications for both.
Sir, regular timing for the batch is 8:15 to 9:15, 1 hour.
Yes. So let us start 8:15 to 9:15, 1 hour for coming 20 days. Not more than that. Latran time, let us start at 7:30 a.m. Okay, 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. 1.5 hour. Let me take.
Okay. Yeah, and sir, whatever the PDFs and notes you will share with us.
Yes, I will share. I will share through the Google Classroom. So once whoever have been registered, for them, I will give the Google Classroom access. Material is downloadable. Material is shareable, viewable, whatever you want, you can do. But material will be available. Recordings. Yes, recordings will be provided by the backend team to your drive directly, to your Gmail drive directly.
How many projects you take for the deployment or real time like that?
6 projects we have.
And
so
time duration for the code?
It is the 4 months. 4 months to 4.5 months it will take.
Okay, maximum 5 months.
Not actually maximum 5 months, because 4.5 months I will be wind up, because we will spend some time in the Saturdays more time and then Sundays more time. For example, some
got it.
application deployment. Yeah, so we can wind it up in 4 to 4.5
Yeah,
hours.
you mean weekday also, and sometimes if needed, then we can work on the weekend also.
Weekend also, correct.
Got it.
And what situation I will use, for example, there is a CI/CD deployment we need to do. Let us do it in the weekend. So
Yeah.
it will be like a continuous session.
Yeah, got it.
Okay,
Sir,
folks, I have to
go slowly, sir. This AWS, we are new to that. The terminology also very new to that. Go slowly, sir.
Sure. Very slow I will go, very scratch I will go. And you always definitely will be controlled me. If you guys will feel I'm going a little faster, you just control me. I definitely will
Sure.
go slow.
Why? Because we are terminology itself for remembering that it will take time to.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, I'm stopping screen share. Sorry to bother you. I have to jump to another session now. They are waiting. See you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you so much.
Is there any task related things are there?
Yes.
Daily
Correct.
For
Handouts
Java.
I have given. Total 6 projects are there, right? 3 projects I will tell. 3 projects is for your task.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.